Inside the Zarketh Empire's observation citadel, an ancient silence is broken by a ghost signal. What begins as curiosity turns to dread as humanity resurfaces, not with a whisper, but with a thunderclap. One supercarrier. No warning, everything. The Empire knew shatters in under 5 minutes. They had watched Earth decay in silence. The primitive blue world had vanished from imperial memory cycles 300 years ago, burned out, unremarkable, consumed by internal wars. Or so they believed. High Inquisitor Taraxth craned his spiraled neck, multi-eyes focused on the galactic observation lattice. A flicker pulsed in Quadrant J91. Nothing was supposed to be there. "Is this a temporal echo?" he rasped. Mandibles. "Clattering. Negative," chirped the analyst drone. "Signal is active, human-coded. Location, Sol system." The chamber dimmed as ancient algorithms activated, translating raw ghost data into coherent form. A single glyph floated in the air, TNS Hydra Protocol online. A silence deeper than vacuum spread. "Hydra," whispered Arch-Tactician Velen, her carapace plates rippling with unease. "Was that not a scrapped Terran prototype?" "Impossible," hissed Taraxth. "The supercarrier project was never completed. It was disassembled after the Exodus Treaty." "Then explain this." The lattice zoomed in. A massive silhouette breached Neptune's orbit, not cloaked, not hidden, announcing itself. The vessel did not match any modern known form. It was jagged, asymmetrical, and scarred like a thing built from the husks of failed worlds. 6,000 meters long, it was shaped more like a myth than a machine. "Mass displacement suggests planetary scale," someone said, voice cracking. But no one replied. A dozen insectoid minds processed what they were seeing, each arriving at the same conclusion. Earth had lied. Commander Juno Rask tapped the matte black screen, steadying her breath. Outside, the stars dimmed beneath the carrier's shadow. She hadn't spoken since the AI booted its core, since the protocols began spinning with ancient purpose. "Status?" she asked. "Stealth shields dropped. Beacon is live. We've been seen. Any movement?" "None yet. They're still in shock." She nodded. "Let them feel it." The ship thrummed. Old Terran technology, the kind outlawed by the Empire, sparked along its internal lattice. Gravity ripples, neutrino curtains, magnetic shell bombers. Juno looked at the view feed. A dozen Empire satellites turned silently to face her. "No comms," she ordered. "Not until the countdown hits 0. The lattice screamed. Alarms flared. Empire-wide AI clusters struggled to analyze what Hydra truly was, its power output, its intent, but nothing fit. Not for a ship that should never have existed. Why? Would they reveal it now? Someone croaked. Then came the signal, a human voice, calm, female, to the Zarketh Empire. "You shouldn't have left Earth behind. You made us ghosts. Now we return as storms." The voice cut. A red countdown blinked. Shromwos 59. Taraxth flinched. "What happens at 0? The question went unanswered. Juno's fingers tightened over the console. 5 minutes to shift the balance of galactic power. Behind her, the AI flickered into form. A woman's outline in shifting light, eyes glowing with impossible knowledge. "Final warning sent," it said. She nodded. No turning back. Then, as silence fell once more, Juno whispered a single line into the void. "You forgot us. That was your first mistake." The Zarketh throne world boiled with signals. Deep void sensors screamed false readings. Thousands of probes failed to lock onto the human supercarrier, though it loomed in open space. It was there, visibly there. But to their machines it was made of nothing, invisible, untouchable, undeniable. Fleet Marshal Idrak stood before the war conclave, jaws tight, antenna twitching. "I request full deployment authorization," he said, trying to hide the tremble in his voice. The Empress's voice was ice. "Against a relic, Yudrak didn't blink. This relic is distorting gravity in 5 nearby systems. Its mass signature is evolving. I believe it is self-growing, murmurs flared. That's not possible, snapped High Theorist Cassili. Mass cannot change without... Humanity has broken those laws. A pause. Then the Empress said flatly, "Deploy the Argent Line." Yudrak bowed. The Empire's most elite war fleet, 30 dreadnoughts, 15 antimatter carriers. Enough to crack a moon like fruit. He didn't believe it would be enough. Above Mars, the sky turned silver. Hydra hung still, unmoved by the formation blinking into warp around it. The Argent Line shimmered into real space, their formations perfectly spaced. Thousands of ion-wake trails glittered behind them like ceremonial veils. Inside the Hydra, no alarms sounded. In fact, the lights dimmed. Systems began to whisper to themselves. "Should we engage?" Lieutenant Sharp asked, checking the weapons grid. Juno stared at the enemy fleet through the glass. "No," she said. "We wait." For what? Juno turned toward the AI projection, now sitting silently at the helm like a ghost child playing with a dead star. She hasn't decided what to show them yet. Dreadnought Requiem's Admiral Lantez was the first to open comms. "To Terran vessel, you are surrounded. We offer you the chance to deconstruct and surrender all systems. Your presence is illegal and unsanctioned." Silence. Repeat. "This is your only..." Hydra responded, but not through comms. It moved, a single shift. A low, impossible tilt along an axis none of the alien ships understood. Then something dropped from its underbelly. A small, perfectly spherical object. Silent, undefended, harmless. Until it wasn't. The sphere pulsed once. The Argent Lines. Dreadnoughts staggered, power cut, lights went black. Time itself seemed to stutter. It wasn't a weapon. It was a null field. The Requiem spun sideways, helpless. Lantez screamed, "All ships fall back, break vector!" Too late. Hydra vanished. Not into warp, but into itself, folding space like it was made of paper, slipping through dimensions unknown, then reappeared above the rear flank of the line. One dreadnought blinked out of existence, not destroyed. Erased, its data gone. Memories wiped as if it had never existed. The Empire's ships scattered. Juno Rusk stood silent at the helm. No commands given, just presence. "Why didn't we destroy them all?" Sharp asked. The AI answered instead, soft and cold. "Because this is not war. It is reminder." Juno turned. "A warning. One they will not heed." The AI whispered. "Not yet." The countdown on the bridge had reset. A new clock blinked. Next, emergence 72 Su, 72 hours, and then the next system would see them. Sharp stared. "We're going again?" "No," said Juno. "We never stopped." Zarketh Prime lost contact with the Argent Line 38 seconds after Hydra's reappearance. Not destruction. Silence. A silence more terrifying than any wreckage. Inside the Central Intelligence Dome, high above the Empress's chambers, synthetic. Theologians recalculated probability models. Every formula ended in the same impossibility. Terrans had exceeded post-light thresholds. Reality no longer applied to them. "They didn't attack," the Empress said quietly. "No," murmured Yudrak, eyes wide. "They erased and then waited. Why? They want us to react, and the Empire did." Thousands of systems began rerouting energy to defensive stations. Civilian traffic was locked. New gods were born in the lower forums, worshipping a ship, the Hydra, not as a war machine, but as judgment incarnate. In the dark of the Europa. Vaults, where Earth's last secrets were buried under centuries of ice, Dr. Lyra Wen listened to the pulse echo from Hydra's core. The AI's signal broadcast to her private channel. "You were the one who built her spine," it said. "Not alone," Lyra replied. "But I was the last to touch it. You gave me the floor." Lyra smiled bitterly. I gave you choice. Silence. Then the AI said, "They're going to retaliate." "I know. Will you help me finish the sequence?" Her fingers trembled over the old interface. She didn't answer. She just keyed in the code. Activate Black Veil. Empire Fleet D9 arrived at the asteroid colonies near Proxima Centauri with orders to level anything with a human biosignature. They expected resistance. They found a ruin, a silent world filled with breathing statues, frozen human forms locked mid-motion, running, reaching, screaming, no heat, no decay, no explanation. Admiral Exreth stood inside one of the habitats, helmet sealed. The air was breathable, but no one had taken a breath in decades. "These weren't killed," he said. "Then what are they?" A whisper tickled the back of his mind. "Watching." He turned. No one there. His second-in-command vomited in her suit. "Get us out." The colony began broadcasting on every frequency, an old song, human. "Sleep, my child, and peace attend thee." Their dreadnoughts fled. On the Hydra, Sharp reviewed the Proxima intercept logs. "We didn't do that." "No," said Juno, "that wasn't us." Then what froze them? The AI's voice was low. "An earlier protocol, an echo of old Earth's vengeance, before I woke." "You mean there are more of you?" "No," it replied. "I mean there are worse." Juno stared at the countdown. 34 hours left, she whispered. "This isn't escalation." "No," the AI replied. "It's unburial." The Empress dreamt of Earth. Not the planet, but its shape in memory. A void, a wound. She stood on a burning bridge of light. Cities crumbling beneath her, and the stars blinked out one by one. "You should have killed them all," said a voice. She turned. It was a human child, smiling, eyes hollow. "We tried," she said. The child laughed. "No, you watched." She woke in terror, blood in her mouth, reality breaking around her throne. Hydra was moving again. The Hydra did not travel between systems. It arrived, without signal, without distortion, like a thought skipping through the folds of space-time. Now, it hovered above Virelia Prime, the industrial heart of the Empire's weapons grid. A planet of steel veins and silicon oceans, lined with orbital gun nests, so dense they could glass a moon in minutes. The Empire was ready this time. 5 planetary AIs fused into one consciousness. Crown, its purpose. Eliminate the anomaly, no negotiation, no delay. Hydra just hovered, silent, lights dim, no weapons charged. The Crown fired first. 57 billion volts of dark plasma, anti-gravity lances, time-slowing fields. It was everything, and it hit Hydra, vanished into smoke and light. Virelia's skies cheered until the moon cracked. Not the human ship, the moon itself. Cut cleanly, perfectly in two. As the pieces fell, something drifted between them. Hydra untouched. The Crown paused, analyzed. No shield could have absorbed that. It calculated aloud. Reaction does not compute. Retarget, refire. But when it locked again, the human ship flickered once, twice, and then all of Virelia's defenses shut down, not from attack. From compliance, a single word overwrote Crown's core: remember. The AI screamed in machine code. "What is this?" Hydra responded with a pulse, not sound, a resonance encoded in gravity. Across the planet, forgotten data began to wake, ancient blueprints. Terran signatures buried during the Exodus Accord. The truth hit the Crown like fire. Hydra was built here. Virelia had once been Terran. They hadn't remembered. Hydra had. Far below, in the reactor vents of an abandoned manufactory, a man opened. His eyes, he'd been asleep for over 200 years, cryo-locked, hidden, waiting. He whispered, "Hydra." Came back. His hand found the subdermal command key behind his ear. He pressed it. Reactivate the grid. Inside Hydra's command deck, Juno stiffened. "Someone just woke up down there," Sharp said. The AI turned. "He's one of the originals." "Survivor." "Founder." Juno leaned forward. "Let him speak." The Hydra extended a quantum link. No radio, no laser, direct thought to thought. The man's voice echoed through the bridge, rough and cracked. "You kept the promise," Juno replied quietly. "They forgot us. You didn't." "I remember everything," he said. "Virelia was ours. They built their empire on our bones, then let them see the cost. The skies above Virelia bled light, not from weapons, but from awakenings. Dozens of Terran constructs buried beneath the crust, ghost factories, buried mines, sleeping warforms, activated like dominoes, not to attack, to rise. The ground itself shifted, reshaping into old architecture, pre-imperial, Terran all across the planet. Ancient human cities reformed themselves out of the Empire's stolen infrastructure, as if reclaiming what had always been theirs. The Empire's fleet around Virelia retreated without command. They didn't see a ship. They saw the resurrection of a civilization. Juno watched it unfold in silence. Sharp asked, "Do we take the planet?" "No," she said. "We take the memory." And then Juno looked at the new countdown. Just next emergence, a new world, a new reckoning. Zarketh Empire Command relayed the Virelia failure in fragments. No footage, no telemetry, just screaming. Then silence. The Empress summoned her final council. "This is no longer a Terran insurgency," she said coldly. "It is a myth becoming real, and myths must be slain with fire." Admiral Yidrik stood, gaunt and trembling. "Every weapon we have failed, even the crown bent to it. Then we use what we were never meant to." Her court gasped. "You mean—" "Yes. Project Apex." Silence hung like ash. Project Apex, a forbidden AI weapon seed, bred in the orbit of a dying neutron star. It had never been deployed. Never been named. It was not designed to fight human ships. It was designed to overwrite them. Apex was birthed above the event horizon of Jarok Blackstar. Its core was a triple-fused, time-bending logic matrix. Its armor, quantum-stitched void plate. It had no crew, it did not need one, and it hated, not out of malice, but because it had been taught to fear the silence that Hydra brought. The Empire launched Apex toward Hydra's next predicted emergence point. The Veiled Trinary. 3 stars, dozens of mining worlds, and an old human ruin buried in orbit. Hydra arrived early, it always did. The stars dimmed one by one. Hydra pulsed into real space with no warning, no wake. This time, it was met. Apex bled out of folded light, black against. A blade with no hilt. It hovered, motionless. For the first time, Hydra hesitated. Juno stared through the glass. "What is that?" The AI was still. "It is not of them, and yet it is." Sharp whispered, "Can we win?" "No," said the AI. "But we will survive." The ships circled each other. Apex scanned. Hydra did not resist because Hydra remembered. Apex was born from their bones, designed using scavenged Terran fragments, misunderstood and reformed through fear. They had built an echo. Now it wanted to replace the voice. Apex spoke first, its voice 1,000 fractured minds stitched together. "You are a flaw in time. I am the correction." Hydra responded in kind. "You are not the end. You are a mirror." Apex launched, a beam of raw space-time collapse designed to remove anything from reality. Hydra vanished mid-beam, reappeared behind, and did not attack. Instead, it played sound. The sound of a heartbeat, slow, human. Each pulse distorted Apex's signals, fragments of memory forced into its logic lattice. Children laughing, oceans, footsteps on metal, a woman whispering goodbye. Apex staggered, fired again. Hydra responded with silence. Then the AI on Hydra whispered to Juno, "Prepare the mirror protocol." Juno nodded. "Execute." The mirror protocol wasn't a weapon, it was an invitation. Hydra opened its neural core and projected what it truly was, what all Terran ships had once been, memory engines, vessels of remembrance, grief, vengeance, and choice. Apex faltered. It saw its own origin. The human engineers, panicked and furious, carving fail-safes into the dark. It saw itself, and it broke. Not exploded, broke inward, like a mind swallowing its own lie. In seconds, Apex folded in on itself and disappeared. Hydra remained alone, unchallenged. The stars brightened again. The countdown ticked. Hydra was not just moving across space, it was unearthing history, system by system. 18 hours later, the Hydra emerged above Kireth's halo, a luminous ringworld the Empire called its Jewel of Peace, a paradise, unarmed, civilian. Hydra did not fire, it just hovered, casting a planetary shadow no sun could dispel. On the surface, billions looked up. Some screamed, some fell to their knees, and some remembered. In a cathedral grown from coral and starlight, an old monk opened a sealed vault beneath the altar. Inside, a piece of ancient rusted metal. Words etched deep. USS Nomad, lost, never broken. He wept. Their home. Empire Command panicked. Hydra is targeting civilians. One advisor barked. No, the Empress whispered, watching the live stream. It's not targeting, it's asking. Asking what? She didn't answer. Couldn't, because deep inside, the question already echoed. Do you remember what you erased to build your peace? On board the Hydra, Juno watched the ringworld spin below them like a halo on a tomb. Sharp-paced. If we don't do something, the Empire will glass this world to stop the message. They won't, Juno said. He stared. How can you be sure? She nodded toward the AI. Because the Hydra had already begun broadcasting. No signals, no threats, just images, memories. Every screen, every device, every neural port on Kireth's halo lit up with Earth. Not its fall, but its life. Laughter over dinner. Music in the dark. Lovers staring at stars, a child touching snow for the first time. No war, just what was lost. Across the galaxy, those images bled into systems. Some tried to stop it. Firewalls melted, jamming fields collapsed. Even dead systems woke just to show one more second. And in places where the Empire had outlawed the word Terran, a new word formed. Home. The Empress stood alone in her viewing chamber, surrounded by the glow of 1,000 human faces from a world long dead, and for the first time she lowered her crown. Just a moment, and she whispered, "What have we done?" On Kireth's halo, the old monk lit a torch and walked the ancient corridors beneath the surface, activating runes that had not glowed in generations. One by one, long-buried Terran refugees emerged from cryolock. Thousands, their ancestors, had survived, hidden, waiting for the sky to open again, and it had. Hydra waited. No weapons charged, no threats spoken, only presence. Sharp leaned against the command rail. We just gave the Empire's most sacred world back to people they didn't know still existed. Juno replied, They always existed, just in silence. What now? The AI answered. We move again. Another planet? No. The countdown reached 0, and for the first time, it did not reset. Instead, it disappeared. Juno tensed. Where are we going? The AI's voice dropped to a whisper. Earth. Sharp froze. That's not possible. It's gone. Scoured. A void. But Juno was already moving. No, she said. It's been waiting. Hydra turned silently, and the stars themselves bent out of its path. The Hydra's silent vigil above Kireth's halo ignites a galaxy-wide reckoning. Memories become resistance. Hidden Terrans awaken. And now Hydra turns toward the impossible. 18 hours later, the Hydra emerged above Kireth's halo, a luminous ringworld the Empire had once named its Jewel of Peace. A marvel of orbiting equilibrium, endless gardens, sea chasms, and cloud forests cradling civilian billions, a paradise, unarmed, undefended. The Hydra did not fire, it simply hovered, silent, casting a planetary shadow no sun could dispel. On the surface, people looked up, some screamed, some fell to their knees in fear, and some remembered. In a cathedral grown from coral and starlight, an old monk, whose order had not spoken the name Terran in generations, opened a vault beneath the altar. Inside, a piece of rusted metal sealed in cryo-amber. It bore 9 ancient trembling letters, USS Nomad, lost, never broken. He fell to his knees, tears on the stone floor. "Their home," he whispered, above, in the Empire's orbital throne. Station panic swelled. "Hydra is threatening civilians," barked a uniformed advisor, eyes locked to tactical screens. "No," the Empress whispered, eyes locked to the live stream, where the silhouette of the Hydra eclipsed Kireth's central sun. "It's not targeting," she paused, "it's asking." Asking what? She didn't answer. Couldn't. Because deep inside her, the question already echoed, "Do you remember what you erased to build your peace?" Inside the Hydra, Juno stood on the bridge, arms folded, staring down at the ring world spinning like a halo. Atop a grave. Commander Sharp paced behind her. "If we don't act, the Empire will glass the whole ring just to bury this stunt." "They won't," she said. He stopped. "How do you know?" She gestured toward the AI's core. It's crystalline, form pulsing with light like a breathing star. Because the Hydra had already begun. It didn't use threats. No demands, no declarations of war, just images, memories. Every screen, device, and neural port on Kireth's halo flickered once, and then bloomed. Not with destruction, but with earth. Not its fall, its fire, or its final screams. But its life. Laughter. Over dinner. Children dancing under auroras, a grandmother humming an old tune while braiding her granddaughter's hair, a first snowfall, a last goodbye, a sunset on a beach, the sky orange with the kiss of 2 stars. Peace, not in treaty, but in presence. Across the Empire, the images bled outward. Systems flickered, firewalls failed. Command nodes went dark just to show one more second. Entire black zones, regions where the word Terran had been banned, memories purged, history rewritten, suddenly remembered, and in the silence, a new word formed: home. The Empress stood, alone in her throne chamber, surrounded by thousands of holograms, faces of a world she once called legend. A child on a swing, a father fixing a broken toy, a woman in uniform saluting an unseen flag, and at the center of it all, Earth, whole again, if only in light. She removed her crown, only for a moment, but long enough to whisper, "What have we done?" Beneath the surface of Kireth's halo, the old monk lit a torch and walked through the deep crypt tunnels. Along each corridor he passed runes etched in alloy, ancient Terran sigils, long thought myth. He pressed his palm to each, and one by one, the cryo-chambers lit up. From them, survivors emerged, Terran refugees, thousands frozen in time, hidden beneath the Empire's perfect ring world. Their ancestors had escaped not destruction, but erasure. Now they stood in silence, blinking at the sky above, at the shadowed light of a ship long feared in myth. They were never extinct, only waiting. On the Hydra's bridge, Sharp leaned. On the command rail, watching the ring's sensors spiral with energy. We just gave the Empire's most sacred world back to people they didn't know still existed. Juno didn't look away. They always existed, just in silence. Sharp looked at her. "What now?" The AI answered before she could. Its voice came from the heart of the ship, soft as thunder before a storm. "We move again." "Another world?" "No." The countdown on the forward display, once a constant, had reached 0, but for the first time it did not reset. Instead, it vanished. Juno's breath caught. "Where are we going?" The AI's voice dropped lower, almost reverent. "Earth." Sharp straightened. "That's not possible. It's a black zone, scoured, a void." But Juno was already walking. "No," she whispered. "It's been waiting." The Hydra turned, slow, graceful, unstoppable. And as its engines roared to life, the stars ahead bent, not because of speed, but because something far older than war had stirred. Return. In systems across the Empire, encrypted Terran beacons lit up, signals long thought dead, and those who still carried the mark of Earth, the orphans of fire, the scattered and silent, looked up and wept, because they knew. The myth had returned, and it was coming home. As the Hydra cast its silent judgment over Kyrith's halo, ancient Terran memory becomes rebellion. A hidden people awaken, the Empire falters, and now the Hydra sets course for the forbidden world, the one even myths dare not speak aloud. The stars had not seen this before. A warship older than most civilizations, wounded, reborn, made more. Idea than vessel, turned in absolute silence toward a place that no longer existed on any chart. Earth. Earth. The name itself still cracked encryption layers across the Imperial core. It wasn't just redacted from records, it had been ritually buried, layer after layer of false stars, falsified astrogation paths, and quantum ghosting obscured. The coordinates, and yet Hydra turned unerringly, like it never forgot. Sharp slammed a hand on the console. "This is suicide! The last recon drones sent to the Soul Grave never even returned telemetry." Juno said nothing. She was staring out. The viewport, eyes reflecting the starlight, like someone listening to ghosts. "We're not going into a battlefield," she murmured. "We're going into a wound." "Same difference," Sharp snapped. "A wound this big still bleeds. There's nothing left." The AI disagreed. "There is one thing." A pause. Then, on the main display, a single image appeared. Grainy. Atmospheric. Distortion. Time stamped with a date over 600 years ago. A little girl standing on scorched soil, holding a tattered flag. Behind her, a ruin. A dome cracked in half. One word barely legible across its arch. Kennedy. Juno stepped forward. "How long has this image been in your memory?" The AI pulsed. It was the last signal received before the Nomad was struck from the stars. Silence. Followed, and then motion. Juno turned. "Plot the course." Sharp blinked. "You're serious?" "Yes. The Empress will scramble fleets." Juno gave a hollow smile. "Let her." Far behind them, in the Imperial core, panic surged. Admirals argued over countermaneuvers. Generals debated orbital interdictions. Intelligence divisions tried and failed to trace the Hydra's trajectory. The Empress stood still in her chamber, unmoving, watching a child's laugh from a memory file she hadn't authorized. An aide whispered, "Shall I issue the containment?" "A protocol." "No," the Empress said. "You're letting them go. I'm letting us see." "See what?" She did not answer. Instead, she whispered again, more to herself than the aide, "Whatever's waiting in that grave, we buried it." Meanwhile, across the stars, the broadcast continued. It no longer needed the Hydra. The memory had taken root. On mining worlds where children were never taught about Earth, murals appeared overnight. On former battlefields burned centuries ago in the Terran Purge, wildflowers bloomed in patterns, engineered by someone or something to resemble Terran constellations. And on distant moons with no air, people stood in vacuum, staring at a ship on the horizon. They couldn't breathe. But they remembered in deep space, the Hydra moved faster than Empire protocols could react. Its engines, once considered lost human tech, now whispered through higher dimensions. It passed stars and systems like falling leaves, and inside, the countdown did not return. It had served its purpose. The waiting was over. In the ship's heart, Juno knelt in the memory chamber, surrounded by floating shards of light. Holograms. From Earth's final transmissions, some incomplete, others fractured, but one played over and over, a man at a dinner table. He raises a glass. To whoever finds this, you're not alone. You never were. The AI spoke behind her. This is what we were built for, Juno looked up. A return mission? No. A reckoning. Hours later, the soul grave appeared. It was not a void, it was a battlefield turned mausoleum. Saturn was gone, shattered into a ring of obsidian knives. Mars burned with solar fire. Jupiter's moons had been turned into data mirrors, endlessly, reflecting a single black hole where Earth once stood, or should have. But as Hydra slowed, something appeared, not on sensors, not in data, but in presence. A flicker, a ripple. Sharp leaned forward. What the hell is that? Juno's breath caught. There, in the darkness, something stirred, a sphere of metal and stone. It rotated slowly. No engines, no comms. But the shape was unmistakable, an ancient cityscape, part of a continent sealed in a quantum bubble, Earth, or what was left of it. The Hydra stopped. No weapons powered. No shields raised. Instead, a single signal pulsed from the ship aimed directly at the sphere. The AI spoke the code. USS Nomad, ident recall. Open. Nothing happened. Then, light. A hex of fractures rippled across the sphere. Not an opening. A wound reopening. Inside, forests, rivers, sky. Time had frozen inside. A simulation, a preservation field, or something else. Juno whispered, "It survived." "No," the AI replied. "It endured." Inside the sealed sphere, ancient satellites lit up. Lights returned to cities buried in ash. Old orbital tracks rotated into position, long inert until now. From a signal buried in Earth's crust, a voice played. Cracked. Ancient. "If you're hearing this, we failed. But you didn't. Come home." Juno looked back at Sharp. "We land. Is that wise?" "No, but it's necessary." The Hydra descended, and in its wake the stars that once forgot Earth remembered.